Welcome back to Sunrise Today. Well, now we focus on the economy. How do we get it right? Well, we're joined this morning by Ayo Gbeleyi, who is the former Commissioner of Finance in Lagos. He is also, he wears many caps. He was the then Special Advisor on PPP to Lagos, former Lagos State Governor. Well, thank you for joining us this morning. Well, talking about the economy, several perspectives in terms of what do we do, how do we go about it. Let's start with the budget. The budget, we expect that hopefully tomorrow, as the Senate or the National Assembly's report says, it may just be passed tomorrow. How do you see that affecting the scheme of things?
Good morning, Chamberlain Suleiman and Maupe. It gives me great pleasure to be here this morning on this program. And I must say also that it is quite delightful. It gladdens the heart that tomorrow, God willing, the two chambers of the National Assembly have indeed promised that the 2016 national budget of 6.077 trillion will be passed. And that would have a very massive impact on the economy. As you very well know, this is an expansionary budget compared with 5 trillion budget we had last year, including the supplementary. That is about 20% increase from prior year's figure. And as you also know, spending on infrastructure in a situation like this will help to massively lead the economy back on the path of recovery. The real sector and every other stakeholder in this economy are all anxious to see this stage progress rapidly to conclusion. So I'm quite happy that tomorrow we will see this budget passed into law by the Parliament.
Well, if you get to hear any feedback, just ignore it and just go ahead as you've been doing. But then about the budget, there are those who ask, look, are we sure that it will make the necessary impact? Because there's that big challenge which we always face with almost with every budget, implementation.
Well, the good news here is that if you look at the current year's budget, which projects a deficit financing of about 1.84 trillion naira, which is equivalent of 2.16% of our GDP. About half of that is expected to be raised from the internal bond market and another half from external funding. As we speak, government is making rapid progress in terms of the external funding. Government is engaging with multilateral institutions like World Bank and the AFDB, African Development Bank, to secure financing in that respect. In the local markets, liquidity is still largely available, and we can see that with the impact of the level of cash in the system. So I'm confident that the government should be able to fund that budget. And government has also talked extensively about the need to leverage public-private partnership to accelerate infrastructure delivery and provision of amenities for the socio-economic well-being of the citizen. So I'm fairly optimistic that those are targets that are achievable within very realistic premise. So all we need to do is just to be diligent in terms of stakeholders contributing our own little quota to make this happen.
On the two matters that you've raised, I mean, my colleague asked if this budget was going to be sufficient. Some people say that 6.8 trillion naira is a trickle in what Nigeria currently needs to revamp the economy and get it going. Do you agree with those people?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a trickle to the extent that this is also a major leap compared to all prior year budgets for the country. And in an environment where we are seeing massive economic headwinds globally, where we are seeing crude oil price that has come down from a high of $116 per barrel in July of 2014 to around $39 today, then this budget is quite realistic in terms of what it seems to achieve, and it's, I mean, a very strong building block towards the future years, as enumerated in the medium-term expenditure framework that has been approved for the country. So, I mean, we start from here and let's see how far we can implement this budget. Recall over the years, we've had, in particular last year, for example, only 11% of the budget was devoted to capital expenditure. This year, we've got 30% of that budget devoted to capital expenditure. What we should aim for is immediate implementation so that we can take advantage of the dry season in the country, which will typically run from January to, say, July, for us to roll out massively on the infrastructure spend. And as we spend on infrastructure, it creates massive job opportunities, and it impacts also positively on the economy. Based on global statistics, for example, for every dollar that is spent on infrastructure, the return or the multiplier effect on the economy is between $3 and $4. In Asia, for example, if you spend about $1 billion on infrastructure, it potentially creates over 18,000 jobs. So in an environment where we are talking about unemployment and matters like that, spending massively on infrastructure is in the right direction, and it's just the way to start for government.
Public-private partnerships are not always easily received. How do you think that government can, you know, scale some of the hurdles that are usually in the way of public-private partnerships?
Let him just stay calm. Let him just stay calm. Let him just stay calm, please. Let him stay calm. The air station is off. Let him stay calm, please.
I think he lost you there.
Mr. Gbeleyi, if you can hear me, I was just asking how you think that government can scale some of the hurdles usually in the way of public-private partnerships.
All right, but we seem to have lost communication with Mr. Gbeleyi, but we'll just check with that because he's a public finance person, also involved in the PPP, as you heard with some of the introductions. So we'll get his opinion in a minute, so just don't go away. We'll be right back.